Dating in the age of AI is absolutely wild, my friends. Let me set the scene. So we're on a plane off to go on an adventure, and we notice that the guy in front of us has ChatGPT open on his phone. He's actually flipping back and forth between chat, a camera roll that's full of how to talk to women memes, and his text messages. He's actually copying and pasting in what he thinks women want to hear into the text thread. Bro is literally stitching together an entire conversation from pre-written and AI-generated lines. And listen, I am all for learning communication tools. This is definitely an area where a lot of people can really grow and expand in, because a lot of it's not really taught nor modeled for many of us. But this was not learning. This was watching a grown-ass man assemble a new personality in real time. And here's the problem, because when it's all just copy and paste of what women want to hear, it stops being sincere and authentic and starts to become manipulative. Now, before you get all up on my ass, I don't mean malicious manipulation. I simply mean patterned and fear-based. Like, I don't know how to be myself, so I'll simply just be what the internet told me women want me to be manipulation. Meanwhile, she's on the other end thinking either that she found an emotionally literate unicorn, or potentially, and hopefully, she feels like she's discovered this too perfect bot-like energy and sniffs it out from a mile away, this relationship fizzling before it even can get started. And either way, this is a bloody waste of time. Am I right? I mean, it's no wonder more women I know are choosing to stay single in this day and age. Welcome to Create Your Happy. I'm Christy Holt, your one and only happiness hussy. And this season, I'm going there. These relationship rants are for the woman ready to stop abandoning herself and start choosing truth. Let's get into it. So, if you found yourself wondering why dating feels a little bit fake now, this one's for you. Now, let me be clear. AI is not the problem. Tools aren't the problem. The actual issue is that people are outsourcing their expression, their authentic expression, rather than developing any sort of actual relationship skills. The problem is the pretending, the performing, and the persona building. The problem is the disconnect between the words that they're typing and the actual embodiment. And I think that women can feel when something's off. We typically can feel the incongruence between these two perfect messages and the total lack of emotional grounding behind them. I mean, AI can absolutely write the lines, but it can't make you present. It can't make you emotionally available. And it can't make you into someone who actually fucking listens. The reality is, authenticity isn't always smooth. It's human. And humans build relationships, not bots. So, what is this dating manipulation? Now, I wrote a post about this on social media, and in one of the comments to my original posts, I shared this piece of it, and I want to bring it into this conversation too. Because as I said earlier, manipulation isn't always malicious. If you're doing something to create a specific outcome, even if it's for good intentions, like to be liked, to keep the peace, to seem impressive, to avoid rejection, all of those things are a form of manipulation. And this isn't just about men, because women absolutely do this too. People-pleasing is manipulation. Performing to be chosen is a form of manipulation. It's not because you're bad, but because you were conditioned to believe that you weren't enough if you were just your actual self. Now, people aren't broken, their patterns are. And their patterns are what are creating the illusion of that brokenness. So if you found yourself asking, why does his texting feel too good to be true? This is why. Because learning communication tools is amazing. There are so many incredible tools available right at our fingertips. Practicing them leads to growth. These are amazing things. However, when your entire fucking expression is outsourced, like when ChatGPT is now writing your personality and memes are the only expression of your emotional intelligence, real life is going to fucking eventually expose that gap. The illusion will dissolve as soon as the person shows up in the flesh. Again, learning is great, but applying it authentically is where the real magic happens. Someone else also commented on my Facebook post saying that this convo would be actually more effective in person, the conversation on the post, because of the nuance and the context. And ironically, that was exactly my fucking point. Real connection builds on the nuance. It requires context. It requires actual presence. And this wasn't about all men or all women. It was literally just about one man building a whole persona with AI rather than just showing up as himself. I mean, that is the real tragedy here. Not that the line wasn't good enough, but that he didn't trust his actual self to be good enough. And I think that there's a lot of questionings about why women's standards are higher, why women expect more now than maybe they used to. And the fact of the matter is, the world has changed. Men are not needed in the same way, that they used to be for protection and provision. It's not quite like that anymore because now women can and often do fully support themselves financially, emotionally, spiritually, and even logistically. And so, of course, women are looking for something a little bit different than we did when we literally couldn't meet those needs ourselves. Back in the day of we couldn't have bank accounts and we were viewed as property, things were very, very different. But now our standards are raised. We are seeking authenticity, honesty, connection, emotional attunement, and emotional intelligence. And the real rub here is that these aren't fucking high standards. They're actually the basics of adult intimacy. And it's absolutely not self-sabotage for a woman to want a relationship that actually improves her life. That's clarity. And so this begs the question, why do men struggle so much with the emotional piece of this? And I want to be really compassionate here because the truth is most men were not raised with emotional literacy. Men never had their feelings affirmed as kids. They often weren't modeled vulnerability, and instead they were taught to perform. They were meant to show up strong and stoic and dominant. And they weren't taught as much to connect. So, of course, it's entirely natural that these scripted responses might feel safer than the vulnerability required by actually showing up. They might feel safer than actually being present. But the reality is, and this is for all of us, is we don't know what we don't know. We're literally all doing the very best with the tools and resources and understanding that we currently have. But I want to point out here that compassion and accountability can coexist. Women aren't trying to just come for men and tell them to be someone else. We can see that the patterns have not led men to create this emotional intimacy and yet still call them to a higher level, right? Call them into their growth because everybody deserves that, right? And if we're wondering, how might I attract these emotionally available partners after perhaps a whole bunch of time attracting very emotionally unavailable partners, I want to just invite you here to flip the mirror, okay? Because relationships and connection is always a mirror. It's not so much about looking at them as it is about looking inward into yourself. So if you are someone who has had a pattern of attracting emotionally unavailable partners, I want you to consider the following. Where are you relying on your own personas, right? Where are you saying what you think they want to hear? And where are you defaulting to performance instead of authentic presence? Because when you actually, look at yourself, this isn't about shame. This looking at yourself is actually an opportunity for a new awareness. And instead of accepting those perfect lines from other people, instead of grounded, mature, intelligent, emotionally intelligent behavior, things will shift. This new awareness of what you're tolerating allows you to shift because it's always a choice as to what we accept. It can end up feeling like modern dating is just so hard or so exhausting because so many people are out there performing and so very few are actually revealing their authentic selves. Scripts and, ChatGPT verbiage builds illusions, but illusions create disappointment. Disappointment leads to distrust, and distrust erodes any possibility of a fucking meaningful connection. Because women aren't looking for perfect messages, right? They don't need a curated response. They want presence. They want congruence. They want someone who's in integrity, someone who wants to show up and does show up, not someone who copies and pastes, not someone who performs and acts like they think they should act, not someone with a big persona, someone who is truly willing to be human and here, now, present in the moment. Authenticity isn't about perfection. It's about being real. And if you're still outsourcing your personality to bots and memes, you're basically showing up as the fucking Temu version of yourself. Real connection requires you, your voice, your presence, and your actual humanness. So if you've been guilty of doing this, I invite you to take this advice like your whole damn relationship storyline depends on it, because it really fucking does. And if you've been on the receiving end of this kind of thing, where when they show up, you're meeting a completely different person in person, take a look inwards. Take some radical responsibility for how you're showing up, because how you're showing up will affect your storyline. And so I invite you to take that like your whole damn relationship storyline depends on it too, because it really fucking does. Thanks for listening. If this rant landed, hit follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode, and check out my additional resources at coachchristyholt.com. If you're craving clarity in your own relationship, reach out. I'd love to connect. I love you. Now let's go do some epic shit, shall we?